What's going on, everybody? Paul Tech here, and welcome to my full review of the Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime for Metro PCS. Now, I know I'm late to the party on this. This device was already released back in May of 2017, but I never picked it up back then. So welcome to my full review, and I'll let you know if you think it's still worth picking up in 2018. Kicking this off with design and build. So you're getting that side-firing speaker and your power button to the right-hand side. To the bottom, you are getting a 3.5mm headphone jack, your micro USB charging port, and your microphone. And to the left-hand side, you do got your volume rockers, and they are positioned pretty nice. I really didn't have any issues reaching them, and they are pretty tactile and responsive. Take a look up on top, you do got your noise cancellation mic. And to the back of the J7 Prime, you are getting an 8-megapixel autofocus main camera. You got your LED flash. You got this darker gold color strip going across the top there. Samsung branding. The J7 Prime pretty much has an all plastic built construction except for the glass front. And this was pretty much the design trend for Samsung's affordable devices. You'll see a lot of this design on other carriers like Boost Mobile, Cricket Wireless. Metro PCS also offers two different J7 Primes, the gold color one, which does have 16 gigabytes of internal storage, the darker color one, which does have 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Now with the darker J7 Prime, you are going to get more of a matte finish feel to the back cover. Other than that, they are pretty much identical when it comes to the design, and the specifications are exactly the same except for that internal storage. You can still remove the back cover, getting you access to your SIM card. You can also input a micro SD card to expand the storage, and they both offer a 3300 milliamp hour removable battery. Moving on to the display now. So you're getting that 5.5-inch HD 1280 by 720 resolution display, about 266 pixels per inch. Unfortunately, this is not a Super AMOLED display like the J7 from the previous year. Samsung decided to go with a TFT panel here, and the display does look pretty nice even though it's not Super AMOLED. Pretty much all the wallpapers you throw in this are going to look very nice. Also, there is no front LED notification light, so just kind of keep that in mind. And to the bottom of the J7 Prime, you get your home button and your capacitive buttons. Unfortunately, there's no fingerprint sensor on the J7 Prime, and the recent apps and back button are not backlit, so they don't light up whatsoever. Now, when it comes to outdoor visibility with the J7 Prime, it actually does do pretty well because you have an outdoor mode and you can really crank up the brightness pretty well. The only thing I disliked was the fact that there was no auto brightness. So depending on where you are, you have to manually adjust the brightness, make it higher, make it lower. Now, when it comes to watching YouTube videos, Netflix, it's actually a pretty good experience on the J7 Prime. Viewing angles are good. There's hardly any color shifting that does happen. And all the YouTube videos I did watch worked perfectly fine. There was no blacking out issues whatsoever. And the highest resolution you're going to be able to watch YouTube videos are at 720p at 60 frames per second. And when it came to call quality with the J7 Prime, it was actually a pretty good experience. I didn't have any type of drop calls. Callers said they heard me perfectly fine, and you also have that video calling feature baked into the dialer. Moving on to the keyboard sensitivity, there was really no issues there either. I was able to, type my messages, my emails perfectly fine, send out picture messages, receive them. Those are some of the pre-installed emojis you do have on the J7 Prime, and if you long press on some of these emojis, it does pop up some additional emojis to choose from, so I think that's actually pretty cool. When it comes to 4G LTE connectivity, it was actually pretty good because in my house I really don't get the best signal, but as you can see right there, I do have 4 bars, so 4G LTE was actually pretty good. Moving on to Wi-Fi, connecting to Wi-Fi, I really had no issues whatsoever, and this does connect to the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Moving on from there, Bluetooth connectivity, I didn't have any problems with that. I was able to pair up the J7 Prime perfectly fine with all the Bluetooth devices at my home and office. So pretty good in that area as well. When it comes to what's powering the J7 Prime, you are getting the Exynos 7870. It's an octa-core processor clocked at 1.6 gigahertz. You also get the Mali T830 and 2 gigabytes of RAM. When it comes to these sensors, as you can see, you are getting a variety of sensors. Most importantly, this does have the gyroscope gyro sensor, so you're going to be able to watch VR content, 360 videos on the J7 Prime. And moving on to performance on the J7 Prime. So I was actually pretty pleased with the performance that I did receive. I was pretty much able to download all the applications off the Google Play Store that I normally use on my other smartphones. All the applications ran as they should. None of the apps crashed on me. Now, I did notice when I did launch an application though, sometimes there is this 1 second delay. I'll go ahead and open up Twitter, and as you can see, there is that little pause but nevertheless, it's still able to launch the application. So I do think the Exynos 7870 is a very efficient processor. And again, this only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, so you don't want to have too many apps open in the background because that will cause a little bit of slowdown and sluggishness. And then sometimes when you go back into an app you were on, it will just completely restart the application. But nevertheless, you're still going to be able to, have a couple apps open in the background, multitask, use this multi-window or split screen mode. And so yeah, I think, performance is good though. And I'll go ahead and drop down the status bar just so you can see all the different quick toggles like Wi-Fi, flashlight. You got Wi-Fi calling there. You got do not disturb. And then you can also rearrange those to your liking. Into settings, you get a variety of options here. Keep in mind there's no NFC, so no Android Pay or Android Beam. Jumping into display here, you get your outdoor mode, easy mode, icons with frames. What I want to share with you here is into home screen. You can also long press on the home screen to get to these options for wallpapers, themes, widgets, screen grid. This just pretty much gives you a way of customizing your J7 Prime. So as you can see there is a variety of different wallpapers to choose from, depending on like the holiday. And then jumping into themes, again, you got like a spring break theme, St. Patrick's Day. You can download a Halloween, Christmas. You can also switch up the icons as well. Now, some of these are free and some of these you actually have to pay for, but I mean, there is a lot of really good free ones. Jumping into the themes, I'll go ahead and share with you one that I really like that is actually free. So if I click right there, you'll see that this is the black abstraction. I'll go ahead and apply it and share with you how it looks on my J7 Prime. So there you go, that's how it looks there. So it pretty much changes up the whole look of the J7 Prime, changes up the wallpaper. But not only that, let me go ahead and jump into the dialer and you can see how it looks now. So if you get a little tired of the way, the J7 Prime looks, just kind of the stock look out of the box, you can just download this. And again, it changes the background to your messaging application there. Kind of gives your keyboard a new look as well. And yeah, I really like this one. And you can go ahead and see how it looks in the app drawer. And then it also switches up your status bar. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull down the status bar. And as you can see there, you got this like blue and orange color now. And then even into settings, everything kind of has this nice look to it. So again, definitely check it out if you got a J7 Prime. So I'll put it back to how it was the stock way. So you also got your icons and frames there. So you can have icons only or icons with frames. And we'll go ahead and back up out of there. And then I'll go ahead and share with you, you also have an option for the status bar. So you can show the battery percentage, or you can just not have the battery percentage shown. Now going into advanced features here, you do get some good stuff like smart alert, send an SOS message, but also with the home button here, if you double press on it, it will launch your camera application. So again, just double press on the home button there, it launches the camera. You have another option here. If you triple press on the home button there, it does give you this one-handed mode. So again, if you have smaller hands, this feature can actually be extremely useful. You can get quick access to your status bar there, to your quick toggles, notifications, all just with that one hand usability there. So again, some good stuff here. Also, if you long press on the home button, will get you into your Google Assistant as well. You also get this feature under settings, which is device maintenance. And I definitely recommend doing this every so often. It's just going to help optimize your J7 Prime for just some better overall performance and into internal storage. So again, you're getting 16 gigabytes of internal storage, and that is for the gold color J7 Prime. So again, you can remove the back cover, put in micro SD card. When you put in the SD card, it is going to inform you that you can only format the SD card as portable storage, not as adoptable storage. Now, you're still going to be able to move some apps to the SD card, but not all of them. If you know that 16 gigabytes of internal storage is not enough for you, you might want to go for the darker color J7 Prime, because that one again does have 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Now going into settings here, as you can see, we are in December 1st, 2017 security patch, as well as Android 7.0 Nougat. So hopefully we will see consistent security patch updates and that next version of Android. Now, when it comes to the GPS on the J7 Prime, I did use this quite a bit and I didn't have any issues whatsoever. I was able to find my location perfectly fine and get me to my destination each and every time as well. And moving on to the Geekbench 4 test, single core score 724, multi-core score 3640. For the Antutu benchmark test, I did get 61,359 for those that were interested. When it comes to gameplay, if you are a light casual gamer that plays games such as Temple Run, Geometry Dash, Subway Surfers, all those games will run perfectly fine on the J7 Prime. Now, if you are a more heavier gamer that plays more graphic intense games, well, the J7 Prime will still be able to run those games as well. You will notice maybe an occasional drop in frame, but nevertheless, you're still going to be able to play those games, and I personally didn't notice any type of overheating issues, so gameplay is actually pretty good on the J7 Prime. Now, moving on to that side-firing speaker, I do like the placement of it. I think Samsung did a good job by placing the speaker along the side of the J7 Prime, and the audio that's coming out of the speaker does sound pretty good. It doesn't get super loud, but it is less likely that it's going to get blocked like if you lay it down on a flat surface, since it is on the side. But here is some audio coming from that side firing speaker. Moving on to the camera. So again, a 5 megapixel front facing camera, and then you get a rear 8 megapixel f1.9 aperture camera, as well as your LED flash. Taking a look at the camera interface here. Now, I did shoot quite a lot of photos and videos off the J7 Prime. Shutter speed is, about average for a device in this price range, and the touch to focus actually works really well, and you have an option to adjust brightness. You also get another option for adjusting the skin tone when you do take your photos. And then moving on to video recording, you can pause and resume recording. You can take a photo while you are recording. Doesn't appear like there's any type of electronic image stabilization on this, but it does a pretty good job while recording videos as well. You got the 4x zoom, and compared to some other smartphones in the same price range, it doesn't lose a whole lot of quality compared to those other phones when it go into full zoom. And then if you slide to the side, you get into your different modes like Pro, Panorama, Continuous Shot, HDR, Night, Sports, and Sound and Shot. And if you slide in the other direction, it'll get you into your 9 different filters, and both the rear-facing camera and front-facing camera record at 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now, if you just slide up on the display on the camera interface, you can swap in between your rear-facing camera and your 5 megapixel front-facing camera. It's actually a pretty decent 5 megapixel front-facing camera. You got a gesture shot option as well, and you also get a flash option, but it's not really a flash, just the display illuminates to bring in more light. You also get a wide selfie mode. So best photos and videos on the front and rear facing camera will be best in good lighting scenarios. Outdoors like I am now, low light can get kind of grainy. Here are some sample photos shot on the Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime. And moving on to battery life. So the J7 Prime has that 3300 milliamp hour removable battery, and battery life is great. I absolutely love the battery life that you're getting here. I would easily get through an entire day off a single charge. The battery, I could not kill it no matter what I was doing. And even on heavy usage, without even using power saving features, I would get well over 6 hours of screen on time. So excellent battery life in my opinion. So to wrap up my full review regarding the Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime for Metro PCS, I do have some mixed feelings regarding this device. Hear me out. Now, some of you might be watching this review and wondering, should you upgrade from this device right here? This was the Samsung Galaxy J7 2016 for Metro PCS, and this device actually has a Super AMOLED display. Not only does it have an AMOLED display, it also features NFC, so you can use Android Pay, Android Beam. This also has a front-facing LED flash as well for taking low-light selfies. And jumping into About Phone, as you can see, this is actually running 7.1.1 Nougat. It is a little bit behind on the security patches, but in my opinion, I don't think you should really upgrade if you are coming from a J7 like this specific model from Metro PCS. I think you're good with this. Wait for the 2018 J series to drop on Metro PCS, then I would say upgrade. But at the same time, if you're coming from an older Android device, the Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime is a good option as well. It has some good features, and again, I had a pretty positive experience using the Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime for Metro PCS. So in fact, I would recommend this in 2018 until we see what Samsung drops for the J series on Metro PCS for this year. So you can also pick up either one of these, the 16GB variant or the 32GB J7 Prime for free right now if you decide to port your number over to Metro PCS. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this review. I had a lot of fun making it. If you enjoyed, please hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel for more future videos. This is Paul Tech, and I will talk to you on the next one.